Hey there, Indiana. Welcome to the HoosLeft Podcast, a show about Indiana politics, history, and culture from an unapologetically leftist perspective. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers. I'm broadcasting from Bloomington, and this is officially our 100th episode. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. Somebody who has been on this ride since day one with me, my very first guest, original friend of the pod, Tom LaVonne, joins me tonight for a spicy discussion about political violence. Now, before we get to that, a little housekeeping. Let me take this opportunity first to thank some of our paid subscribers without whom we wouldn't have made it to episode 100. Cliff Marsiglio, Blythe Potter, Richard Reed, Beth Sarchett, Joe Swanger, Michael Torres, D. Owens, Jesse Brown, Peter Iverson, and my mom! Thank you all so much. I am eternally grateful for your support and for the support of the many others whom I did not name because I don't have their express written consent. Now, for everybody else, please consider joining them in supporting Who's Left with a paid subscription. This is an independent media project. I don't paywall content. I don't sell out to advertisers. I don't have billionaire benefactors. Only individuals like you keep this thing going. I refuse to gatekeep valuable information in the middle of a political crisis, even to my financial detriment. So please, if you find value in this work, go to whosleft.us and subscribe at the paid level. It's only $5 a month or $50 a year to help me write more, research more, and organize more. And if you're not ready for a long-term commitment, you can make a one-time contribution on Cash App or Venmo. I'll put links to those in the show notes when we're all done here. So if that doesn't work for your budget at this time, it's fine. I understand. It's hard out there for a lot of people right now. You can still help out by liking and sharing on social media, commenting, leaving reviews, providing feedback, and forwarding the articles I write to your people. Do it now if you're not already subscribed on the platform you're currently watching us on. We are building a community of Hoosiers dedicated to making this state and its government work for all of us, not just the elite few. And we've got big things in the works. Please join us. Follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at whosleft.us, and on Facebook, X, TikTok, Mastodon, and YouTube at Who's Left. Tell the others. Let's build a radically democratic Indiana together. Thank you again. Now, let's welcome Tom LaVonne back to the show. Tom,
Hi.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay.
So listen, funny story, little setup here. You know, a couple weeks ago, I hosted this live stream all day marathon of the No Kings protests all day across the state. Very inspiring. Small towns to big cities. You know, we had people in Chicago patching into the show. Phenomenal stuff. Big, non-violent, celebratory, even in a way, rallies, right? Now, the previous weekend, I was hanging out with you, and you had a costume party, and the theme, how would you describe the theme?
The theme is only very adjacent to what this was. It was a basically a true crime theme party, is how I would describe it, in essence. So every costume, well, okay, I take that back. It started as true crime, but I was like, fictional serial killers and murderers and stuff. No ghouls and goblins or some such, but for the most part, like historical murderers or victims of some such.
The real monsters. Yes.
Yeah, the real monsters is a good way of putting it. Or question mark, depending on what you think and feel. I'm not going to tell you. I'd say, as I'm probably about to tell a lot of opinions. So
well, funny story about that. So you were dressed up as a certain Luigi Mangione.
Yes, a la the photo of him in court with the green sweater and plate carrier ballistic vest, white collared shirt underneath. That was the version I went with. mainly to be able to get it easier because I know where to get all those things. Let me back that up a little bit. The reason I know where to get a ballistic plate carrier is because is because I'm from Bedford, Indiana. In Bedford, there is a very well-equipped Army surplus store. So that is yes, that is where I used to that's they have all that stuff. I'm sure if you look around, maybe on the internet, probably not. I honestly don't think there is a photo of it. There is a photo of me in a Vietnam era flak vest that I also got from there that looks very reminiscent of Pete Wentz in that one music video for Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
I digress though. My big reason I'm saying that is because I'm not a big procurer of military grade equipment. I just know where to get that.
You're not that guy. We all know that guy, but you're not that guy.
Yeah.
So listen. Anyway, I thought the dichotomy between the big peaceful protests and a visible symbol, a personification of political violence and revolution was sort of an interesting entry point to this conversation.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So here's the thing. I talked about the No Kings and how inspiring it was on the day of the event, and it was truly historical. I want to say it was the largest single day protest in U.S. history. More than 7 million people in over 2,700 locations, all 50 states and D.C. And its size alone is a success. It is a victory. It is a demonstration of the scale of the resistance to the Trump administration, and that is an important sign to hold up, right? Also, it was simple, clear. No thrones, no crowns, no kings. It's clear, it's accessible, and it's like one thing that everybody can agree on, right? So, and furthermore, because the protests were so broad, they pulled in people that might not have normally protested. They were peaceful. They were, like I said, almost celebratory in a way. The big inflatable costumes and stuff. That's good, right? It's a larger base to draw from means more stronger future movement potential. And like I said, these nonviolent. Everywhere, maybe a handful of arrests for minor things in a few places, but overwhelmingly nonviolent. And in a way, it made Republicans look silly for all their talk of this hate America rallies, right? Or violent Antifa extremists, whatever. Yeah. No, man, it looked like people were having a big party, right?
Yeah. It seemed like the tone they had to take was one of dismissal. The rhetoric, maybe we can get into this later down the line here about how algorithms technology work, specifically on one platform, which was a little strange all of a sudden. That comment I heard over and over again was if there was kings, you couldn't do this. It's like, why do you think that? But that was the rhetoric I was seeing the most was, it's your and we really entered this era of wishy-washy back and forth of you really don't have one thing to say ever. It is very interchangeable how you want to use your rhetoric.
And it's also it's just black and white thinking. Like, oh, okay, well, if there were a king, you couldn't do this. I mean, there's monarchy, authoritarianism, fascism. These things exist on a spectrum. You get a lot of folks like that in our camp, even, I think, that are afraid to call what the Trump administration is doing fascism because, that implies a whole lot of Republicans are fascists, or at least in league with fascists. And you hear the big F word, and your brain goes right to like extermination camps. Well, listen, man, it took Hitler 10 years to get there. He was a fascist in 1932, as well as in 1942, but it's a process. It's a scale. It unfolds.
And history is not like if that were the case, we wouldn't have sort of the society that proliferates everything the way we do now. If that statement could be true, if there was a king, you couldn't do this. It's like that's never stopped anybody before anywhere in history. And if you don't like history, I'll use a pop culture reference. I have several of them written down. In Game of Thrones, Joffrey gets hit in the face with a cow pie and a riot starts. Boy, they sure didn't care he was the king, did they? It did happen. It did turn violent, don't get me wrong. Like, it was, though, predicated on the people in power for violence, because throwing a cow pie is not exactly the most aggressive thing in the world.
Right.
But
it's not
you get
deadly.
my point here. Yeah, you get my point that like this absolutism in how people view things really is a problem constantly. And the cognitive dissonance they set up for themselves with this sort of argument and way of thinking and points they make is the way I've seen so many debates and arguments that actually are framed from at least one side to try to be, hey, we're going to get somewhere here. That's where they go, and that's where they get stuck. And there's a lot of reactions on the other side of not even naming dynamics there of left versus right. Anybody can have that kind of thinking. But that's how it usually goes. And I'll point to Dean Withers and people like that are like, hey, they're doing a show like this, only it's very much like let's put a left and a right person together and we're going to debate online.
Yeah.
And that is always how it feels like the conversation goes, is there is a hard point where to allow sort of the state we're in, the ideas we're talking about, and the way that the right has to present themselves can't to call it a house of cards would be inaccurate. It is it's a house built on several swirling double helixes twisting around each other, and that's not how you build a structure.
So listen, we talked a little bit about the reaction from the right, what they say about those No Kings protests. Mm-hmm. There's a criticism from the left as well, and it kind of goes like this. So there's big buildup. All this organization goes into pulling off this day. Everybody comes into the streets. They gather around their courthouses, their town squares, wherever it is, depending on where you are. You have this big orgasmic burst of resistance, right? And you just need to roll over and go to sleep afterwards. Like, what's next? Like, authoritarians need to be fucked repeatedly.
Yeah. Point I kind of wanted to make that is a criticism of this, of No Kings, that is a real, actual functioning meaning of the word criticism, not a knock on it, is that my biggest fear / issue / wish, point that needs to be pointed out is like, hey, this is a little too late. This is maybe the stuff we should have been seeing in 2016. This is maybe like a decade too late for the type of mobilization that we are dealing with. Something that I also need to bring up in that, and I think that I feel like I'm stealing your point away from you. Because I looked at the notes. I know I said I didn't, but I did.
You
the three
bastard.
the 3.5% showing thing.
Yeah, which we'll get to.
Some of the things that is the issue within this is the bandwidth of the populace. And I mean that not yes in general, yes everybody, regardless of faction, side, or whichever word you want to use there, but everybody. And then we talk about the left and what we have. I'm very much a leftist, and here I am. I have cut back on all the things that I used to watch because it's too much. And going to an event that is, how do I put this? No Kings is happening in the midst of everything that's going wrong. It's not the galvanizing thing that BLM was, right? Like BLM was focused because of specifically what happened, specifically what it was. And this is weaponized, I feel, unintentionally. And maybe there is some intention, but I think in a mass way you cannot attribute the right to actually weaponizing this shotgun. It's something every single day. Every single day, if you pay attention to the news and you're on the left or you care about somebody, maybe, if you have human empathy, it is too much to listen to.
Yeah, and right. that is part of the strategy. That's Steve Bannon. That's flood the zone with shit. That everything, everywhere, all at once. It's how fascism, how authoritarians work. They wear you down. It is abuse.
I do believe that it is like what you're saying is true, but I think there's more to it. And I'm going to circle into another point here. When people are calling Trump a fascist, I think that this flavor of fascism that Trump is probably dwelling into, I would call him an accidental fascist. I don't think that he has the same bandwidth as somebody like Adolf Hitler to understand this. Yes, he's an idiot.
He's a puppet. It's the people behind him I worry about. I worry about Stephen Miller a whole hell of a lot more than I worry about Trump.
It's this shooting
scares the shit out of me. Yeah.
It's this shooting gallery of nonsense that's like, ooh, we really have a... Like, how do you even handle this? Because you have people that are actually clever and manipulative and are trying to rig the system against everybody. And then you have basically old man yells at cloud every single day. What's he going to do? I don't know. He sure can't, change the background on his phone. And there has definitely been some hypothesis here that he has watched AI videos of stuff, and that has honestly affected what he goes and says and tries to do.
Oh, complete pudding between the ears, man. Just absolutely gone. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that is like such an important thing to put a lantern on, is that like you need to know what you're dealing with, and it's like that's the thing you got to be paying attention to, is who is doing what, when, and where. And right now, the person at the top is this wild card that just does whatever. And that's like instability. How do you rally against that? Because there isn't a set point. And we come down to just saying fascism, and then that opens up a thing, because, a more logical argument would be that he definitely does the thing where it's, I'm going to protect myself with an American flag and a cross. And here we are again. Like,
yeah. So what you mentioned the kind of the criticism about this thing from both ends, really. The factor, like whatever. There's not like the one thing that drove people out of the streets. It's kind of the sum of everything, right? But then also like, okay, so and then on the other end, there's not a demand. There's not a clear ask. There's not a one thing that if you don't give us this, we're not leaving the streets, right? So I think that's kind of the criticism here. I've got a couple quotes pulled from an article in Current Affairs. Chris Smalls, the founder of the Amazon Labor Union, said, No Kings is a big ass parade. When are we going to withhold our labor for, I don't know, maybe genocide? Bruce Ware, Jill Stein's former running mate and current Green Party candidate for governor of California, observed that mass mobilization without any specific demand and without any organization is actually detrimental because it wastes potential energy, and that could be directed into effectively organizing against systems. So, some really good points there, and we'll come back to this and talk about what's the line, what's going to be more effective. I think what we're basically settling on now is No Kings are great, or that that event was great. It was a good in. It cannot be it, right? What else? What now? So
I have maybe a very glaring point to bring up, and I don't know if I should save it to the end for some kind of impact.
If it's on your mind, throw it in there. We'll work around.
Yeah. So the thing that I think is one of the biggest issues here is you're talking about where do we go from here? Like that sort of, this is great. It's like, hey, we're so far past this being great. We're having violence enacted on us now, and everybody is in denial of it. Right? When I say everybody is in denial of it, I mean the people who sort of like the facets of our culture, whether it be left or right, where you're at about how it affects you, you're in denial of it. Because the moment ICE arrested somebody that was not an illegal immigrant, which this is just talking about the efficacy of just that. The minute somebody who wasn't an illegal immigrant was arrested, well, that is an act of violence, right? Not to mention, I do believe how illegal immigrants are being treated is also an act of violence and immoral and illegal and unethical and all that shit. But my point is that we are already under threat of harm to everything. Our personal body. Some kid got tackled on a bike in Chicago and broke his collarbone from ICE. Like a teenager. I don't even know why.
It's the fucking Gestapo.
I'm not sure.
They're the fucking Gestapo.
And like, this is information that I didn't have before today. This was not even research I did for tonight. This just happened to be something that came across my feed. Is that a top ICE official, I forget exactly what his position is.
Oh, that's
tear gassed kids?
Yeah.
He tear gassed kids and then got in trouble for it from a federal judge. And he showed up to court with armed goons. Hey, if you're not afraid right now, if you don't take this as a credible threat, like, don't hear the word fear and think, ooh, I'm scared. It's like, hey, you're being threatened, right? You need to take it seriously because that's insane. They showed up with dudes in full kit and weapons to court.
Yeah, you are referring to the Border Patrol head Greg Bovino, who was supposed to meet with this judge every day because they are going out there every day and violating people's civil rights, and the judge is making him come in 6 o'clock every day. Hey, what happened? What did you do today? I need updates all the time.
And here's my thing. This guy and this organization and the people he represents don't care about a federal judge. A federal judge is someone that is so high above me in sort of a hierarchical sense of society. I would never be in front of a federal judge unless I don't know exactly the circumstances that could possibly lead me to be there. Right? Like
this conversation, if we keep going, hey.
Yeah. As I said that, I was like, I guess that's probably something if we really just said crazy stuff out here. But like, this person is, one of their jobs is to mitigate people like this. They don't care to the point that they showed up with dudes with guns. Like, what do you think that they're going to care about your protests? They want it to happen. They want things to spiral out of control so they can be the big tough guys and come in and do something about it for multiple reasons. Some people have political reasons, some people have personal ones, and they want to be out there doing that. You're already in danger. It's too late. You need to be asking yourself, what are you going to do when violence is enacted on you? Because there isn't a scenario where you aren't in danger. You're in danger now. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. Who knows? I don't know. But the chances of the government coming and hurting any of us now are not zero. Because an ICE agent can just arrest you for no reason, they can stop you without probable cause. They can arrest you without due process. They might just not like you. It may not even be, you may think, if you're on the right, you may think that you're safe because you're on the right. But hey, one of those guys might not like your football team and think that you're a dick or something. And they'll just arrest you for some reason. And hey, then you'll be in front of a federal judge because of whatever they said. Because that's how people work. See, this is what happens when
we read the poem, right? Eventually they come for you.
Yeah, but it's like
this is a good end. No, this is a good end, Tom, because you said that they're doing violence now. They're doing violence to Americans now. They deported a 4-year-old American citizen child with cancer because her parents were illegal, right? They're jerking around this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy. He's not a citizen. He was here. He was doing the things he needed to do. He was doing his check-ins and whatnot. Okay, like his wife, his family, there are still Americans being affected. They are doing violence to them. They've arrested judges. They've arrested mayors and congresswomen, and you talked about anybody's in danger. There's a guy sitting in jail in Tennessee currently. He's been there for a couple weeks because he posted a meme about Charlie Kirk, and they're like, I don't know, man, that looked like a threat against the school to me.
Yeah, like it's not just like while the statement of that one day they'll come for you. It's the thing that is important about that is like, yeah, of course, is hey, have some aware of the nuances of the training wheels that are now gone off the bike. No, it's not. No. That's the wrong analogy. Hey, your seatbelt doesn't work on your car anymore. The brakes don't work on your car, and the windshield wipers don't work anymore. What's going to happen? Like, that's where we're at, and you need to be aware. Like, everybody needs to be aware of how those things fit back in there. But we are trying. People are stuck in their own feedback loops of whatever justification. However,
okay. So yeah, listen, we talk about the violence they're doing to us now and how it's coming to you. This Saturday, November 1st, SNAP benefits are going to run out. There are people that are not going to have food aid. They are literally taking food out of children's mouths. That is violence.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't think of a more violent thing to do than to, I don't know, starve somebody's children here or anywhere. Now, and then I want to look at, look, let's tie this back into your costume there the other night, Tom. Let's talk about Luigi. Talk about Luigi Mangione and this healthcare executive that he murked. the healthcare system is violence done to people, right? Like, it is a crime, rightfully so. You can't go whack a guy, Tom. You can't shoot a guy in cold blood in the middle of the street. But, like, that's a crime. But, murder via paperwork at scale that guy's company was doing is somehow okay.
Yeah. And I am, like, one of the things I'm curious about if Luigi Mangione is going to get the OJ treatment. Right? Like, do you know what I mean when I say that? Which is actually a discussion I think that we've had years ago about this.
Interesting. Well, listen, the OJ treatment is I can afford really good lawyers.
Yes. There's that. But there's also, like, after being an adult and going back and watching, like, documentaries, it's like, hey, he sure did do that. But if I was knowing what I know, I could not have found him guilty because of the misconduct around the law enforcement, right? And it's you're trying to burn Luigi Mangione on this pyre to make him an example, to make him this thing of like, this is what will happen to you if you do, they're trying to fearmonger with him.
You enjoy your $20,000 deductible, god damn it, you fucking peasant. Yeah.
But unfortunately, the right and at least the people on the right that are totally touting fascism ideologies into this whole maneuver haven't acquired all the keys to power yet, right? Like, we wouldn't be still there. They wouldn't still be in trial if they had. And I think that's like one of the saving graces of this is like there are like the judicial branch still has some shooters out here, and
Tom, I was on my way up to Northwest Indiana for a wedding last weekend, and we're driving on I-65 on the way up there, and there's one of these metal railings on the side of the road, all twisted and mangled, like obviously a semi or something hit it or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was still there, and I said to my wife, "Oh, well, look, it's the guardrails of democracy." So, all right, listen, we talked about Luigi Mangione, political violence there. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk a little bit. Now, that was, boy, just not even a couple months ago at this point?
Wasn't it on September 11th?
It was the 10th. Yeah,
the 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I remember it was right around there. So, yeah, now listen. He was assassinated at this campus event in front of a bunch of students. You know how Kirk does his thing. He goes there, he sets up his tent, and he's like, "Debate me, bro." And what happens? It's not a debate that ensues, but more like a gotcha, like a booby trap set by a propagandist to get their social media clip. But
the whole setup
anyway,
is
those kids there on the campus didn't deserve to see that. This guy, for all his heinous speech, he has a right to say the heinous things he does. I don't think he deserved to be shot like that. However, Charlie Kirk was he was an organizer of January 6th. He played a major role in getting buses of people there for a planned insurrection. Let's not kid around. That's what this was. He wasn't one of the masterminds. He wasn't Steve Bannon. He wasn't Stephen Miller. He wasn't Roger Stone. He wasn't any of those guys who were across the street at the hotel's name I can't remember right now. In the war room, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, man. That's treason.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a death penalty guy at all. Like, I don't think the state should be executing individuals for crimes. But crimes against humanity, crimes against your country, crimes against I'm coming around on that, and in that case, listen, after a fair trial, after before a jury of your peers found guilty of treason, I would have that debate. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of. Here's the thing that we're in a really murky area because I think it actually requires a lot more discussion than we're capable of getting here right now. And sort of how you value what a punishment would be for what, right? There are some things where I would be like, oh, I'd rather die than do X. And I mean it, right? And it's like being in prison for life, I think, is worse than death. That being said, not all deaths are equal. I think maybe taken around the neck in front of like a few thousand people might be a little worse than just getting the chair, right? Like, I think that's, I don't know. See, we're in this, we're literally debating on
what happens. I take the shot to the neck. That's clean, man. The chair can get ugly. It doesn't always go great. That is true. I don't want all the people to have to see it. But
yeah. I guess my point is,
my options. I don't know, man. I'm taking firing squad.
Yeah, my point is that like
the feds are like duly noted.
What exactly is an appropriate punishment? I think that there isn't one thing that can possibly ever fit all. I do think that maybe capital punishment should be less than it is, because it's, for some crimes, it's like an out, right? Well, we're going to kill you now. And you don't have to deal with being in prison anymore.
Oh, you get these guys that are like death by cop. They're like a shooter. They'll go blow up a bunch of stuff, and they're like, "All right, shoot me now."
Yeah, that's a really weird thing. That sort of psychology, that wasn't covered in my psych class in college. I don't know. That wasn't quite a thing yet.
So, the discussion about Kirk kind of takes us into the point, though, where we'll need to discuss like the efficacy of political violence, because listen, Charlie Kirk, piece of shit, terrible human being. Good to have him off the board. Like, if he had been hit by a bus, fallen out of a window, or struck by lightning, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah.
But because the way he was killed, it made him a martyr, and he is more powerful and dangerous now than he was in life.
Did it? I'm going to be real.
The guy's sitting in jail in Tennessee. Can't even post a fucking meme about the guy.
Yeah, I just think that like the way a martyr works is that somehow that's going to win people over to a side or galvanize people who are uninitiated. And I'm sorry, I just don't think he is that. And it's really lame, actually. Like, it's really weird and lame that you're making the big forehead, big gums guy your martyr, and we're giving him all these like accolades post-death, and all like I'm just like, he wasn't even that cool of a bad guy, right? Like,
it doesn't matter. Movements like that, authoritarian movements, need a martyr. Like, dude was still warm when I posted something like, "Oh shit, MAGA's got their Horst Wessel."
We also live in 2025. It is so much harder to keep him relevant. They have to keep doing things. I'm gonna take my point back to COVID. I'm gonna take my point back to COVID. There has been about 3 or 4 months ago, there was all this stuff around Epstein files, and they're still going on. People are trying to keep that discussion going, rightfully so. But there was all this conversation about hey, why didn't this get presented when it was found? It was the Democrats. Guys, my sweet hell, Trump was president. Trump was president during COVID. Like, it could, like he was the president when they were, like, made secret, like, found and made secret immediately, right? Like, he was the guy. Biden didn't do anything. He couldn't, right. He didn't. And we just forget. We just forget this. If they were not continuously pumping everything out of the death of Charlie Kirk that they could get, we would not be talking about him right now. If they weren't giving him medals for getting shot, arguing college kids, right? Like, such a hero. Let me go argue these college kids that haven't graduated, haven't got past like Psych 2, or anything yet. And it's like, oh, the NFL teams aren't paying homage to him. It's like, hey, they don't fucking have to. What are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about it because your martyr doesn't have legs to stand on. So it is over and over again. I'm going to tell you right now, I predict that's going to get old. This guy does not have the power in, from the grave to be this hero. And I do wonder if maybe that's part of the reason he's dead. Because I'm going to get into a really weird section here. Okay. This might be getting really off the top.
Let's have a peek into this rabbit hole.
Scott, you've known me for what? 14 years? 15?
Good 15 years.
Maybe a little longer, but it doesn't matter. But what's the one thing you may have noticed over the course of so long, especially in the environment we first met in, where people just have nothing to do but talk? One of my biggest pet peeves is...
time to lean, you got time to clean.
Don't never say that to another human, ever. Is conspiracy theories, right? But I gotta tell you, I have never been actually more captivated by a conspiracy theory than Trump killed one of his guys just for at least the Republican Party, some faction therein killed him to make him a martyr to help this whole thing, right? There is some inconsistencies. I wouldn't call it evidence. I would say it being inconsistencies in evidence that is a lot. That's I don't know. That does seem kind of weird, right? How did this...
Yeah, you can't trust any of the information you get from these guys anymore.
You can't. And then the information they do say sure is fishy. He broke out a screwdriver on that roof, disassembled it, and put the gun in his pants, ran off the roof, and reassembled the gun later and hid it in the woods.
And wrote basically a tantamount to a very detailed confession note to their alleged lover or whatever. That I don't know, full punctuation and everything. Kid's 22 years old, man. I don't know.
I've not looked at this letter. Have you looked at this letter?
It's oh no, I've not seen the letter. I think I'm referring to it's a text thread or something, perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering. I'm it's a 20-something-year-old kid making a full letter, and was it handwritten or was it typed?
I do not know.
I digress. Let's move away from that. But again, it's one of those things. There are in all of this, when you try to construct a reality, there are so many holes in it, depending on who creates it, depending on who you create it for, and about and around. A 20-year-old kid did X. Well, that means that X means X, and then X means X, and then X means X. But hey, what if you're Z? Z doesn't know what X and X and X are. So it's like, why did he do this? And why did he do that? Oh, because you don't know that that's how people function in a age and culture. Or you didn't know that this happens. Like, the question of his backpack. Hey, in that video, that guy's not wearing a backpack. Like, of him running across the roof, it's like, why isn't that guy wearing a backpack? And if he breaks down the gun and puts the gun in the backpack, it still sticks out of the backpack. And the pictures you have, that guy doesn't have a gun sticking out of his backpack. He's wearing, like, skinny jeans in the photo, like the video
right,
photo.
Right, like shorts and a different one. And then
the guy doesn't look like the guy that they have. And I'm like, I don't know anything because I'm just some dude over here. But when you present this as the evidence, it's like, what do you mean? I only have this information to work off of, and it sure seems like there's some holes in it.
It's not great. And listen, you know what? In a way, you've kind of taken me to a place I want to go, is because with this FBI, with Kash Patel and, Trump and all these folks, a major part of their strategy is just to, lie, make things up as they go along, right?
Yeah.
And so we have no way to know what we believe. What is legal changes from one day to the next. Like there were people in the country on protected status. They were legal. They revoked the protected status. Now these folks are all like illegal overnight and stuff like that. People turn to violence when there is not, when you can't trust the structures, when like there's, if you can't trust the system to deliver justice, right? Then people take justice into their own hands. And I mean, if you want to look, we could look at the reason we're in this place we are now, of all of our systems are collapsing and falling apart, and there is this vacuum into which violence is filling the void, is because we've never held the actual criminals accountable, right? I mean, so we're doing crimes now. I mean, well, the people in charge are doing crimes. Why not do some crimes? I mean, man, I remember, we're talking about Charlie Kirk and treason, and maybe a meeting the same end after a fair jury trial, right? Well, if we go back to like 2009. And all the hope and the change and the big wave that swept Obama into office. Listen, a big part of that was anger at the way George W. Bush and Dick Cheney lied us into war in Iraq, committed crimes against humanity, and never faced any punishment. Like, if Obama would have come into office on January 21st, 2009, and turned over Dick Cheney and George W. Bush and their various hangers-on to the Hague, would we be where we are now?
I think that's a very good point. I think things would probably be different. And I'm so glad that you said this. This brings up another good point I have. Democratic leaders need to stop being fucking pussies.
Yep.
That's it. That's really it. Like, the biggest gun we had out there, I can't even remember his name because it's 2025. Who was Kamala's vice president?
Oh, Tim Walz, yeah.
Tim Walz. Yeah, Tim Walz was the best option we had out there. And I'm not exaggerating. And they were like,
walls, and they told him to like stifle himself, basically.
Yeah. It's like, hey, no, like we're here right now, and I'm telling you, everyone's in danger, and you need to be prepared for physical violence. You need to be ready, and you're afraid. Oh, Tim Walz said some mean things. Like, shut the fuck up. That's how we got. That is how we got here.
He called them weird. And there were people who were like, "This is violence."
Well, it was incredibly effective.
Are you fucking serious?
And that's the problem. Effective equals violence. And I'm saying that as a criticism of Democrats because that's how they see it. Hey, we're not coming to an agreement. You're not going to come to agreement with the fascists that are deporting people who are citizens, who don't have a place to be deported to, who they're making literal camps. We're so far past the point. And you're like, hey, don't call them weird. You need everything in the game right now. And one of those things is calling them weird. But hey, you need to be doing a lot more. And leadership, I think, is a big functionality of this. I was going to look up the statistics, so I could be wrong. At one point, at least the reporting numbers for Trump's win, where he got less votes in this election than he did in the election he lost.
Yep.
Now, take what I said there with a grain of salt because I did not look up the numbers right then. I just know at one point that was what was reported. At the end of the day, who knows? Numbers change because those take forever to come in. But he won by less votes than he lost by. That, right? We all understand that. The Democrats lost the election. Trump did not win. Though that's the semantics there are very important. Democrats have let everybody down.
For years now, Tom.
For years.
That 2009 and that Obama, right? Like,
it's not just going back to Obama. I'm going to take this back to MLK. I think that there is going into conspiracies. There's a very good reason people think the government killed MLK because he was one of the last, I'm not going to call him a leftist, right? He just was a good person trying to do good, and he was killed. And he was a leader, and people rallied around him. And now, people are putting Charlie Cook's fucking photo next to his. It's like, this is a madhouse.
It is a madhouse. Especially because Kirk said, Dr. King was a bad guy. He probably wouldn't want to have been pictured with him. And
yeah.
I swear. So Tom, listen.
Yeah.
Well, what are we going to do?
Well, it is an interesting question. One of the things that I wanted to tie into this better way. This was, I don't know, a few months ago. Our friend and associate, Chrissy, I forget exactly what her position is with the Democratic.
She is now chair of the Monroe County Democratic Party. Chrissy Gill.
Yes. Maybe I shouldn't be name dropping her then. But she was like, I forget. I was responding to some post that she made, and she was like, well, maybe you should run for a position in, I don't know if it was like local government or state government. It was one of those, right? If it was like a town, like Indianapolis government or the state. And it was like, oh boy, I can sure think of like 18 reasons off the top of my head I wouldn't do that. And it's in like none of them are because I don't want to see a better world. It's that I am effectively ending so much of my life that I can enjoy.
Yep.
And this is one reason why you don't have good leaders. And I'm not even going to add the stipulation of Democratic Democratic Party leaders. Good leaders in general. And that is one of the reasons why, a truism, maybe, is the word I'm looking for here. Some of the best leaders are those people who do not want it. And it's like, yeah, that's very true. And it takes a certain sort of psychotic person or just different to be it. So you
have a gut. Like, I didn't want to have to do this myself.
Yeah. So it's like all governments are like, oh, hey, corruption in a government, no matter what that government is, highly likely, because it's what your whole thing is. It's what your whole deal becomes. And you either have to be somebody whose mental chemistry is wired in such a way that you just want to be busy all the time and you want to be doing this, or you have to be a psychopath or sociopath. A sociopath is maybe a better way of saying it. Like, or not better way of saying it, a better example of what a person is. Because I think that we have a lot more sociopaths in the government than psychopaths. I don't think a psychopath would last very long just because of.
I think the entire Republican Party platform over the last 50 years is essentially sociopathy. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It's the Reagan Thatcher. There is no such thing as society. There are just individuals and families, right? That is an inherently sociopathic statement.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Tom, what do we do though? Like, obviously, we talked about the shortcomings of No Kings at the beginning. Again, great stuff, great potential first step, great way in the door for a lot of people, maybe. Yeah. Okay, well, we looked at the other end of the spectrum. At the other end of the spectrum from peaceful pep rally at the courthouse square is whacking a guy. So I think we're going to agree that the most effective strategy for getting through this thing is going to be somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, and you're talking macro tactics. Micro. Here is what I think, leading off of what I was just saying. The left, or not even the left, just the good in the world needs to find a leader. Do we need more leaders that are going to take the risks, chances to get out there and do something? And honestly, to be completely detached from it all, like logically, this is pure logic. They need to invoke both things. You need to be invoking political violence, and you need to be invoking peaceful protest to be an effective leader. Because you're galvanizing both bases into doing the thing.
Now, when you say violence, and I'm gonna say this: the official position of the HoosLeft Podcast is that we do not advocate political violence in any way. We don't kill people. Now, you want to throw a cow pie at the king? I advocate that. If there's ice in your neighborhood, and I don't know, maybe mysteriously a large bucket of screws winds up in front of their tires or something.
So let me digress there. That is that statement I just made is not one of advocation. It is one of general effectiveness. It is what I believe to be a sad truth of reality. No battle is won without spilt blood. I really don't think so. And at the end of the day, you have this theoretical leader that would galvanize. They're not even intentionally doing it, is also my point. You need somebody that's going to do a thing. It's going to stand up, and through your entire spectrum of personalities on an ideological scale that are on your side, they need to all be doing the things. Some of those people are going to commit violence because of where they're at on that. And that is effective for a multitude of reasons. Not because it's right, but because it's effective, right? And your entire side is going to,
deployed selectively. I could.
This is what I'm describing is an effect, not a plan. You can't plan for this. If you're planning for this, then maybe you're already a bad guy. But what I'm saying is it's too hard to plan. You're already, if you just get a good leader, all this stuff is going to happen. If somehow we can turn the country around, the person and the people who do it, because there is no I think we cannot necessarily acclaim to the one great man theory here. But
are you reading my notes through the screen? Like I just wrote it down.
The people who are going to be rallied behind in their different invocations down through a hierarchy of society are going to be these people. And that's,
So when you're talking about these leaders and, you're not talking about this like great man history stuff. You're talking about individuals with courage that are standing up when bad things are happening in their area. Like you see people confronting ICE when they're detaining somebody.
And it sort of requires for if one is to understand what's going to happen here, you need to get that all this is going to happen. And if we do switch this around, what's what we're going to see? We're going to see a lot of peaceful protesting. We're going to see the thing that you're talking about in the middle. You're going to see roads blockaded, boycotts, sabotage of infrastructure. Maybe that's like really bad when we're getting into sabotage of infrastructure. No matter what, you're good. Like it is actually really hard. Like psychologically speaking, to kill a person if you don't have all of your chemistry right. If you're a normal person, it's actually really hard. So the rate at which people are going to be enacting maybe like that bad of violence is low. And if you're trying to make that happen, like, you
always have to watch out for the first person in a group like that. And this for anybody who's listening and watching, whatever, the first person in your group to suggest doing political violence, they're the Fed. They're a narc. They're trying to get you to do the thing.
Yeah. And also then that being said, when you hear somebody being like, we should do X, Y, and Z, what's happening? What's the context? Because when I was at BLM, the first night of BLM, and it was just anybody. There was no organization. There was no left or right or neutral organization. There were people, there was tons of people out there for BLM. And there were people who were standing around, watching around. There were people who were looting TJ Maxx is what I saw. And I was like, I wouldn't even know to go into TJ Maxx. I don't even know what they have there. What are you doing?
If you're going to loot, I'd loot something higher end than TJ Maxx, honestly.
Well, there's not a lot of stuff.
No offense. Like I enjoy shopping at TJ Maxx because that's all I can afford. If I'm looting, I'm getting good stuff.
There's not a lot of stuff to be looted in downtown Indianapolis because all of the retail marketplace is on the circle of it. Yeah, like on the around 465. But that is like a big political center, or like it's a population center and place people gather is downtown for the most part. And the cops there are antagonizing everybody because of multitude of reasons. But when there is fully like kitted out police officer with a helmet and vest and like whatever he's got, like literally standing in the street going, come on. Hey, it's bad, right? When there's tear gassing traffic. When I say this, in Indianapolis, the first night of BLM, they were tear gassing traffic. Those people were not protesting. They were in their cars going somewhere. And it was like they couldn't go anywhere because there was like a riot breaking out that was antagonized by the police to make it a riot. And then they were getting tear gassed and they were just there. They're just there. The police were shooting the buildings. Why?
Tear gassing traffic. Steve Winwood did nothing to deserve this. That's an old guy joke right there.
I did not get that one. But but like that's the thing is like there is this sort of apprehension to defend yourself because we think defending ourselves is unjustifiable because it gets labeled as political violence because of culturally there's a big culture thing. And maybe I just see it differently because I'm from Bedford, Indiana. There is a culture of violence.
We are a well-armed people. Yes.
No, it's not that. It's not that. And it's weird. I know people who are from Gary. The stuff that happened to me growing up in Bedford, or the things I saw in Bedford, you'd get shot for in Gary. If you did it in Bedford, boy, like you'd just get in a fight or something, right? Like people, I'm going to give you this story to you. This is before I was born.
Bedford is more violent than Gary per capita, by the way. I would put money on it. Small towns in rural red states are more violent per capita than big cities.
I have another anecdote to come.
I can't testify to where Gary fits in that equation, but I'd bet Bedford's more violent than Chicago.
I have some anecdotes to come back to this, but I need to get this. I need to get this story out of the way because it's insane. It's an insane story, right? This happened before I was born. Only reason I know this is because my mom told me that this happened. At some point, for whatever reason, it was not explained to me. Some dude had an issue with my dad. As they are wont to do, I think he might have had issues with a lot of people. But this dude came to the house, like the house I grew up in, which is like 150 yards away from the road. So it's not just like he walked down the street and was in the front yard. Like there's like a field in front of the house. So he would have had to come all the way, all that way to come to the house and was like talking smack or something, whatever the issue was with my dad. And my dad's standing on the porch. And the guy says to my dad, "If you're feeling froggy, leap." And my dad was like, jumped off the porch, which was like a deck. So, and just took him out, whatever.
Flying elbow drop. Yeah.
Can you imagine that same story happening in Gary?
Well, it depends on if people are armed, I guess. Can you, if that
they're all armed
in Bedford and they're armed, I mean,
no, yeah, I have never been afraid of being shot in Bedford, but I have been afraid of going to the fair and having somebody following me around and like trying to like get me somewhere to beat me up. That's a real story that happened to me before, right? I'm not joking. That's what it's like. But that behavior is so viscerally violent that it happens more. And the other anecdote I'm going to, based on what you had said too, which is good that I think you might be on the same page. I lived in Bloomington, Indiana for 10 years, which is a blue city. Feels more like a town, but it's a city, I guess. It's very blue. Very. Indianapolis is also blue, and also, well, it's a capital. It's a big city. The rhetoric I hear from so many people saying that Indianapolis is dangerous. And for context, everybody, my background for the last some years has been like blue collar construction logistics work, right? So I have to hear a lot of conservative people talking about things, and they're afraid of Indianapolis. Like my last job was off of Shadeland Avenue, and that during orientation, a guy's getting a work truck, and he's like, "I'll just leave my car here tonight, and I'll come back like Friday with somebody to get it." And the guy in the orientation is like, "You don't want to do that. You don't want to leave your car in the parking lot of where you work overnight." That's dumb and insane. It's crazy. I've lived in Indianapolis since 2017. The rate at things happen to me or around me is so much less than Bloomington, Indiana. Bloomington is way more dangerous than Indianapolis. And when I say danger, you think you have a certain idea in your mind. It's not that.
Yeah.
But the rate at things happen to you. And this is also very situational. I am an average size white guy with glasses. Do you know what the primary threat to me is?
In Bloomington, Indiana, slightly larger white guys without glasses.
You're almost there. It's just any any average sized white guy, they don't have to be bigger than me. You put glasses on me, a guy that's my size thinks he can take me for some reason. That is danger. The guy isn't probably going to kill me because he thinks he can fight me. But that's like a weird place of privilege to have where you're like, I'm going to fight somebody because I want to feel good about myself, or I have a point to make, or I just think I can get away with it. Do you think minorities feel that way as often? When they get into fights, it's usually beef. It's usually hard beef. And like, another.
You do not want the cops to get involved. So
and another
white people
number,
and they take it for granted that the cops are just going to let them work it out.
Yeah, and like people don't understand crime. People don't understand crime. It's usually somebody you know.
Oh,
how many people get shot randomly? I know it's
hardly ever happens.
Yeah, I know it's been a growing epidemic, but for the most part, out of all the gun deaths, it's usually somebody that knows that person. Out of the crimes that happen, it's usually somebody that knows that person. If you ever had something stolen, Scott, have you ever had something stolen?
Yeah.
Do you know who did it?
No.
Yeah?
But, well, it depends. Mm-hmm. Depends on which thing that was stolen. But yeah.
Yeah. I can guarantee you, out of any time I've ever had something stolen, even if they didn't know it was me they were stealing from, which is maybe possible, I bet you there's like at least at most a 2-degree separation between me and them.
Yeah. So
So crime.
Yeah. Well, let's reel this thing back in from the individual level crime back to like the criminals in charge of this country, and how the hell we get them out of here. Now, we hinted very briefly at the beginning about this 3.5% rule. And it's something one of my favorite people in the world, Michelle Higgs, brings up all the time. And it essentially goes back to a study by, what is her name? I'm going to get myself a nice link here, pull this up. I want to call her Kristen, but that's the woman from Wicked. It's Erica Chenoweth is the researcher at... There we are. Where is she? Come on. I'm looking at an article from the BBC. There we are. Okay, yes. Erica Chenoweth is a political scientist at Harvard who has done studies like with data showing that nonviolent civil disobedience is in fact the most effective way to topple an authoritarian regime. And I am quoting now. She says, looking at hundreds of campaigns over the last century, Chenoweth found that nonviolent campaigns are twice as likely to achieve their goals as violent campaigns, and although the exact dynamics will depend on many factors, she has shown it takes around 3.5% of the population actively participating in the protests to ensure serious political change. I want to highlight the word actively there.
Yeah.
Overall, nonviolent campaigns were twice as likely. We saw they led to political change 53% of the time compared to 26% for violent protest. This was partly the result of strength in numbers. Chenoweth argues that nonviolent campaigns are much more likely to succeed because they can recruit many more participants from a broader demographic.
Yeah.
Like we talked about with the No Kings at the beginning, not everybody's going to be down for the violence. But you could maybe you can get 3.5% of the population into large scale nonviolent protest. The more disruptive things get, you're drawing from a smaller base, as things begin to disrupt daily life and the functioning of society society.
That is honestly, like, if we're talking about disruptive, I think, something that I came into here in, and I did want to maybe discuss the efficacy of political violence a little bit. And I realize an important distinction that needs to be thrown out there and said, so it's clear. It's definitive and it's clear. When I'm telling people to be prepared for political violence, this is an act of defense. You need to be actively thinking about defending yourselves because it is already happening.
Yes.
I think if we are, I think there is a effective organizational tactic. Nonviolent protests that are disruptive are definitely what you need to be doing. Those, though, may still be crimes depending on who you are, but I guarantee you the way things are going now, they're going to be anyway.
So much. Listen, Tom, I gave a speech about this a couple weeks ago, that we're already terrorists and criminals, according to the federal government under Donald Trump. I mean, we are engaged in anti-Christian, anti-capitalist, pro-immigrant extremism, gender extremism, this is the official policy of the United States government, that that people that harbor beliefs that are, I don't know, half the population harbors, that those beliefs are indicators of terrorism, potentially.
Fear mongering.
We do have to be very comfortable with, the label criminal. I mean, depending on what the law is any given day, you can be a criminal. When you're dealing with people who rule by dictate, what you're doing can be a crime with the snap of a finger. So let's look briefly at a little bit of, kind of the different degrees on the scale, the notches of turning up the heat, going from, say, a No Kings style peaceful protest to, standing on rooftops with sniper rifles. Like, you've got your sustained everyday protests with encampments. Think like Occupy. If you remember that.
Oh yes, I do remember that. Yeah. It was my first taste of one of the issues of the leftist movement.
Yeah. So like a thing like that is what worked in the Philippines to get rid of Ferdinand Marcos in 1986. Now, got his kid come back. Now he's running the place again. So, I don't know if you want to look at that one differently in retrospect, but as an example of sustained everyday protest, right? Think No Kings every day until something changes. That means people are going to have to miss work. People are going to have to really sacrifice. You've got things like blockades, occupations, shutdowns, boycotts, right? Holiday season's coming up. I'm seeing a lot of stuff online about folks talking about boycott Black Friday, boycott Cyber Monday. Frankly, I am in favor of boycotting Christmas this year.
Yeah.
Entirely. Well, boys, looks like we're going to have an imagination Christmas this year. So yeah, we got that. We've got things like sabotage. We've got hacking. We've got, please Canada invade us. I will work with you. I don't know. So I don't know. What in there is
actionable?
No Kings, we've determined is not enough. Even if 3.5% of the population came out for a No King style rally, if it was twice as big as the last one, that was about 2%. If it was 4%, that's still not enough. It's got to be sustained. It's got to be every day. It's got to be pressure. It's got to be a specific ask. It's got to be, we're not leaving until you give us back our SNAP benefits or something.
Yeah. I am wondering just some, how long does sustainability have in that? I couldn't tell you. We have examples of other places in the United States. it's weird. We're weird. There isn't a lot of places like us. So I'm like, what can you get away with? And maybe you can get away with something if you're organized. An organization is the biggest issue. Because, hey, who's a Fed in your organization all of a sudden?
Right.
And what's their allegiance? Because it really, some of the Trump administration's actions have been very like, I see. Okay, so you're also not all on the same page. Because if did you hear about the interviews the FBI agents got fired, and they gave the boilerplate responses? They didn't even say anything extreme. They just didn't give propaganda, and they were fired.
Right. Like, they said, I'm going to play things straight by the book, and not like, where is Donald Trump so I can fillet him? Yes.
It's like, so I don't know that and one of the key things to organization is leaders, and you need leaders to be on the same page. And this comes back to what I referenced a little bit earlier, the issue with left movements. Everybody has a different idea. Everybody has maybe too much nuance to their thinking to have everything explored, because things are complicated, Scott. In thinking about what we are talking about tonight, do you know how many topics I thought about just to understand my points?
Oh, yeah.
It is massive. I have anime references on my notes here. Granted, very related to modern political stuff. They're not just references, but like, I got Madagascar, Nepal, and Indonesia.
Whether it's out of context or not, yeah.
but yeah, like that. You know what I'm going with that. Like, that's an insane line of things to have to connect, but it's things that matter and that are happening, right? Like, at least in Nepal and Indonesia, symbols from a Japanese anime are being utilized, one, actually correctly, and being used. It's like that's a whole topic unto itself. And on here, we're talking about what branches of government's doing, what the law enforcement government's doing, what local leaders need to be doing, infrastructure, the morality of all this. That's so much, and you're going to end up with a thing. So what you need to do is find at least a few people, maybe 50, just one person in each state that has that enough thinking, and they're all on the same page to be leading people in a direction. And if you can get that movement going, if you get just enough people who are on the same page with enough nuance of the situation to be moving things forward, then we might be getting somewhere. And then we're cooking with gas, and then disruptions can happen in an organized way when your majority of the people in your movement, in your party, are doing the same things and saying the same things, and not everybody's burning something down or not doing nothing. Like, that's what you need. That is at least an actionable plan. That is a lot harder than it sounds, because if I sat 50 friends down, I sure don't think that I could find the commonality to have us do one thing, right?
That's you hint at something really important, I think, and that's like the fundamental difference between folks on the right and on the left. You all often hear the reference, like it's like herding cats. It's precisely because the left, we are democratic, we are anti-hierarchy. It's hard to get people who are disinclined to fall in line to fall in line.
Mm-hmm. And to say that, though, what's really hard and really rare is to find somebody to believe in that you are not personally invested in. And that's a rare kind of person. And I don't think that we've had sort of that representation on the left maybe since Martin Luther King, since JFK. like, I'm a little hard. Both people who got killed for some reason.
Yeah, funny thing, huh? Well, and it's so hard because here we are. We're trying to hash this out. Like, what can we do? What is an effective strategy? This American fascism is a new thing. Well, let me take that back. American fascism at this scale is a new thing. I mean, you could say the antebellum South was essentially a fascist society. You could say a lot of places in the Jim Crow South were fascist societies, and at a smaller level, but we haven't had this scale certainly before. So we're trying to figure out, and I saw just a great quote from one of my favorite authors, Sarah Kendzior, in her Substack. I want to say yesterday, and her quote was this: "When you are ruled by a technocratic death cult, the concept of leverage changes." And she's talking about how the Democrats are using the leverage of healthcare to, with the shutdown, that our leverage is, hey, we can extract a concession from them at this point. Anyway, back to Kendzior. She says, a general strike does not pose the same threat to the powerful when their goal is to destroy the national economy. A protest does not have the same impact when officials are devoid of shame. A spectacle does not hold the same power when AI lies are generated with a whisper to a soul-stripping robot. Mm-hmm. A vote is an illusion when elections lack integrity. Calling your representative is a grim farce when your representative serves transnational oligarchy and sells it American sovereignty. And really, I think she, and I hate to sort of go in a negative direction, but it's like, man, yeah, what is effective when you can't? How do you protest the shameless? How do you use economic leverage when they want to crash the economy so they can scoop up all the pieces?
This goes back to just sort of like, it's something you can't plan for, because your leaders that you want can't be the people that manifest that. But you need to be advocating in such a way to where one of those people who isn't your leader is radicalized enough to take one for the team, Scott. And that leads on to some other things. It's a delicate dance to weave, and it's one that is insane because you can't control it. Like, and I mean that in multiple ways, because there's the way it's like, you can't have the type of leader that we would want doing those things. But it's also maybe too hard to do, to make that a plan, to make that happen. Because look at the flip side. Let's say that the Trump administration did set up this guy to kill Charlie Kirk. There's so many holes in it already. There's so many holes. Yeah. And we don't know anything. What happens if it's a left that does it? I don't know. It's just like, you can't have your leaders actually being violent in a proactive kind of way. They, for the most part, have to be defensive. That's a. It's like it is the old adage that Theodore Roosevelt said is, walk softly, carry a big stick.
Yes.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not goose stepping in your boots and kicking everything down. I think that's a very, like, right there. That analogy, I think, is the difference.
Yeah, you are a protector, willing to defend yourself, your family, your community. Mm-hmm. Not out there looking for a fight, but ready for a fight if the fight comes to you.
And that basically is how progression is made. And it is what's annoying because no matter who you are, what your political ideology is, it doesn't happen overnight for the most part, and it's increments. There might be a big catalyst that happens overnight, and that changes everything up, and then we're going to be, following that incrementally throughout. But I think the major step that needs to happen is leadership, and it can't be a spineless thing anymore. It can't be people from privilege that don't know what it is to be afraid to go to a fair.
Yeah. We're not in WWE anymore, right? We can't go up there and play fight with these people. We can't go up there and kayfabe. We're in UFC now. These are real punches.
What is the term here? There is sort of a a privilege that some of the leadership has on both sides, right?
Oh yes,
of not knowing what it is to struggle and not knowing. In every invocation, hey, do you know what it's like to have no money? No, that's a whole thing. Do you know what it's like to be afraid that someone's going to hurt you, like all the time, as a culture? No, that's a whole thing right there. Like, do you know what fear is? Do you know what uncertainty is in a way that the bottom rungs have? And then maybe the next rungs. And then, hey, maybe your disappearing middle class also might know that. You don't know that? Maybe you don't represent them the way that you think you do, because you assume a lot about how a normal person lives because you think you're normal, but you're not. You're super privileged.
Oh, Tom, that's a whole can of worms. This is something I talk about. I maybe said something to this effect in all my social media channels like an hour before we went online, but I'm not going to open that can of worms here in this discussion. Tom, what are your takeaways here? Really, we're not starting a militia tomorrow, right? We're not going out there. Mm-hmm. Ready to take on the federal government. That is not going to happen. That is not how things work. What are we doing here, man? What are our takeaways? What's the next step?
The next step is finding leadership. That's what a higher echelon move is finding leadership, finding people that maybe aren't even looking for it within the party, and being like, no, it's you. Actually, it's you. And maybe even if they are looking for it, do they have the qualities? People, we're hearing
too hard. They're probably not the one.
Well, we are hearing whispers. I say whispers. The AOC is a possibility. And I'm going to be real. Like, that might be the ticket. And I say that, like, in a way that is not, there's not optimism behind that. There is man, she sure does seem like she's actually putting her fucking foot down. You can be as sexist as you want all day. You can be, I don't even know what race AOC is. Don't know. Doesn't fucking matter to me, but you could be whatever race it gets, say whatever thing. But it's really hard to deny a person that stands up and actually is like, no. Like, let's compare and contrast Kamala Harris with AOC. I sure believe anything that comes out of AOC's mouth. The fact, like, the criticism that Kamala Harris dated, who is that guy again?
Oh, was that Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco? Is that the one we're talking about?
No, it was the actual celebrity, I think. Like, she dated, like, a celebrity, like a talk show host guy or something.
I don't remember. You know what?
Doesn't matter.
I don't care who people fuck.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Well, the reason I'm saying that that's important is to give you maybe some allocation here about, hey, maybe she had more privilege. She dated, like, a celebrity dude, right? AOC, like, is not. They people criticize AOC for being not like whatever the language they use. I'll tell you what it really means. She didn't come from privilege.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of bite might actually mean something, and everything else is rhetoric. People may be afraid because she is a younger woman of color, but boy, maybe the ability to actually do a damn thing is exactly what you want, and you need to throw all your goddamn weight behind it. You're not going to win anybody over anyway. You're not going to win by playing the center. You're not going to win by negotiation. You're going to win by getting the people who either don't believe in you because they think you've abandoned them or have no idea on your side. The people over there are not going to change their mind. And even if they do, the ones that are possibly going to change their mind, there's not enough of them and there's not enough time. Yeah. We're out of time.
Honestly, the ones that it's not the ones you think either. Like if you're trying to pick off Republicans or Trump voters, and by playing to the country
Center?
Club crowd or whatever,
yeah.
Those aren't the people you want. You want the people who voted for Trump because they were angry and disaffected and they wanted things to change.
Yeah.
And then you say to them, "Hey, man, I get it. I know why you're angry. Like, but you've been lied to. You know, the people who are saying they're going to stand up for the ones that are ripping you off, they are in league with the people who are ripping you off."
I would guess that 50% of people on the right are of that nature. I think that literally half of conservatives are just ignorant and not actually malicious, right? They're the people who think that Cold War propaganda wasn't just like, they think that that's real now.
Yeah.
They think that that's real now. It's like, hey, Russia was a threat 30 years ago. It is not now.
It's a different kind of threat now, right? We're not going to nuclear war with Russia, but they're very good at my
point is that communism was a thing to point at and say that's different, right?
Yep.
And you said something earlier, and I'm sorry that I'm kind of throwing back into this, but it's as relevant with all this that all kind of ties in. Your government system, because communism, for the most part, is about economic plans, right? It is not a surefire way to get a totalitarian leader.
Right.
Socialism is the same way. Socialism and communism are different, but of the same sort of thing. Also, is not supposed to be indicative of a totalitarian leader. Whatever a democracy and a republic are not supposed to be indicative of a totalitarian leader. But guess which thing has happened in every type of one of these governments? Hey, they all have produced totalitarian leaders. It's not about that. It's about corruption. And that all leads to we're all calling it fascism now. But at the end of the day, it's all just corruption.
Yeah.
And a few people wanting more power over everybody else. And no matter what your political ideology is, there is no perfect political ideology. And the perfect political ideology is probably a mix of everything. And somehow, but the core of it needs to be anti-corruption based.
100%. Yeah.
That's the thing that we need to be fighting against is corruption. It's not communism. It's not
hoarding, right?
Yeah.
Corruption is essentially the hoarding of resources. And that's what what hierarchy always gives you. It says that these people at the top, they deserve more for whatever reason because they're better, they were chosen by God, or whatever kind of bullcrap excuse you want to make up. But that's and that you find it, like you said, you find it in political systems across the spectrum, when power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few people. And I think, Tom, that really is kind of the best thing to bring this full circle, is that, like, There's a lot more of us than there are of them.
Yeah. It is to use another pop culture reference. It's the scene from Bug's Life. Do I need to go into detail on this? You know what I'm talking about. You get this reference, right?
I get the reference.
Okay.
Does the audience get the reference?
They can look it up. they can look it up. But
I get the Bug's Life, and then there was ants, and those could be confused, and not to be confused with the Bee Movie, which is disturbing, honestly, if you think about it. But that's
so. Anyway, coming back to the point,
be in a relationship with a human woman, Tom? I'm confused.
So, but yeah, 50% of conservatives don't know that they want communism, but it's like what they want, and they don't know it because of obfuscation, propaganda, so on and so forth. Communism is literally like a worker-based thing to empower workers.
Yeah, what is it? Hold all your possessions in common. Who was it said that the first time around? I remember. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like that sort of that's the type of Republican you need to appeal to, but you don't appeal to them directly. You just go out there and say, hey, maybe these mega billion-dollar companies need to be paying all their workers more. I don't need to try to seem insincere by going to a bunch of Republicans who have been making like $20 an hour for 30 years and it mean nothing anymore and be like, I'm going to help you. No, they don't give a shit about that. They're not going to believe you. But if you say in general to the ether, to the world, this policy is what needs to happen, paying the people, if you just keep saying and actually doing, because your ass is going to get cooked if things flip and you're saying, I'm going to help the people get paid, and it doesn't happen, they're going to get noticed. That's going to be, no. So, yeah, you have to mean it. That's how you get anybody who is who is conservative, who is Republican, to possibly come to this side, is that you're not pandering to them. You pander to everybody and you say, this is the policy that's going to help people.
Yeah, you're consistent across channels. Yeah,
you consistently advocate for the working class and the middle class. Like when they bring out their hot button topics, I would just shut them down, right? Which is incredibly hard to do. It's like, oh, you think abortion should be illegal? Yes, I think it should. Yeah, I think yep. You want to expound on that? No. If they can't make you into this thing where
my policy is it your body? No, then it's none of your damn business. Like
I see on the I see on the transcript here that it caught my voice. That abortion should be legal. Yes. That was what I said. It said illegal. I'm like, no. No. But anyway.
So no, listen. Oh Jesus, Tom! I lost where I was going there. How do we bring this thing home? Help me land this plane here tonight, Tom. Where we're talking about about violence, about the efficacy of violence, about being prepared for violence, the violence these people are already doing to us. We've talked about how
you bring us up to a good point, because that's what we were in the middle of, and then we had to expound on it. So yes, we need to start looking for our leaders. And the other important thing, I think, to be bringing it home and trying to do, there is a tactic out there, and it will be, I guarantee you, said is a criminal offense or possibly violence. It's not. Up top, this is not violent. They will 100% accuse people of it being violent. There is a tactic called unarresting people. We have seen it happen, not a ton, but it has happened in Chicago, and it's happened in other things across the last, years that people have had phones in their hands everywhere with cameras. Your community maybe needs to come together, and when someone is getting unlawfully arrested with no what is it called?
Process, yeah.
Probable cause, with no probable cause, and then they're not going to get any due process. Maybe you and your people should come to their aid. It is fine and dandy to stand there and try and get information from the person that's getting arrested as they're hauled off to who knows what black site. But hey, it would be really helpful? There's 3 people unlawfully arresting somebody who may be a citizen, who may not be a citizen, but it doesn't matter. They're about to be mistreated. If you are perfectly within your rights to go over there and undo that. You don't need to beat the people up. You don't need to kill them. If you and 15 of your friends just take
between them. Yeah.
Remove that person from that situation, because they're also at the same time not identifying themselves. How many people?
Exactly.
How many people?
It could be anybody.
How many people do you think have disappeared because non-ICE agents took them? That's a scary number to think of.
It's non-zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say do it anytime, because you don't know who it is. You don't know it's ICE. I can go to that same Army surplus store that I mentioned at the top of the show and buy things that say police, ICE, whatever federal agency. They have patches there. You can order them online. You can do whatever. There's a reason cops are identified as themselves.
And the moment I got it. I got the strategy. Spider-Man. Just everybody show up looking like ICE.
Okay, that is pretty good. That is pretty good. There's only guys in frog suits and ICE agents, but who is the actual ICE agent in that? They don't know. I feel like you're making a joke, but at the same time, I think that might actually be incredibly disruptive. Yeah. Like, if another unidentified ICE agent came up to an unidentified ICE agent and took their person that is arrested away,
Yes.
Is this going to be the short that you make out of this?
This is it, Tom. Listen. This is the winning strategy right here. It is not joyous, peaceful protest in a contained area with permits. It is not murder. It is trickery.
Yeah, it's trickery and unarresting people in your community.
Tom, it has been so good to talk to you. I love having these conversations. We should not let the next one be so far out as the last. Where are you maintaining much of an online presence yourself these days, or not?
No, I have deleted my Twitter. Any other social media is private. You can still find some ancient archive of a far-flung YouTube creator thing out there. When we first talked about this as I was a guest, I said that it's Schrodinger's YouTube channel. That was some years ago at this point. Probably two. Was it 2 years? Has it been 2 years since episode 1?
We are coming up on 3 years in January, February?
Yeah.
Beginning of next year, yeah.
I basically have catapulted career difference into logistics, being a logistics person. I'm probably not going to get back into the fun creator game anytime soon. But also, it's not necessarily applicable to a lot of the people who are going to be watching this anyway. So, hey. If you still want to watch inane talking with even less structure than today, by all means, you can go find linear radio for as long as it exists. Who knows? We may archive it one day. I don't know. But that's like the most public thing out there.
It is like a time capsule of 2017 maybe.
oh, Scott, I forgot how long that actually went on for, because we went through so many phases of it that stopped us for like a year. We had like 2 or 3 stoppages because a computer would break. And your content is different than my content, but you're also older than I am and a little bit more established. Sometimes my computer and my stuff couldn't get fixed because I have not established myself with enough money to be able to do that. Yeah. So that's one of the pitfalls of content creation on the internet, no matter what your vocation is, no matter if you're doing political content or gaming content or narrations or whatever thing niche you fall into as far as being a creator goes.
Whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. For anybody listening, if you're doing a thing, if you're worried that you're not doing it right, it doesn't look good, or you just keep doing, you'll get better.
Yeah.
Keep trying.
But your entire thing could be ended because you need a new hard drive. So,
so if you want to find Tom, you have to go back in time to find Tom on the internet,
and also sidestep a bunch of ham radio YouTube channels, increasing number over the years. You used to type in linear radio, and we were like option. If you just went to channels, we were option 2 or 3. I don't know where all these ham radio stations came from, like YouTube channels that talk about ham radios and building radios. But I was like, maybe we picked the wrong name.
I don't know. Or maybe it's a transition into a resistance technique, because if
ham
they
radio.
shut down the internet, ham radio, baby. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have anyone else to plug at the moment that I can think of off the top of my head. That it would be maybe somebody to go to, but hey, I appreciate being here and being a talking head. I definitely had a lot more to say this time. Hope everybody is gentle on their judgments of this.
Listen, it's good to get outside of the normal political circles I talk in, and roll around in the dirt.
Yeah,
that's what I'm about.
It's like I take it back. Hey, maybe you should just fucking listen to me. Maybe yes. You out there, you need to fucking listen to me. I'm from fucking Bedford, Indiana. I grew up in a goddamn trailer. Apparently, people followed me around at the fair trying to beat me up. What have you have experience like that? I would like to own a house one day. This man
has a CDL license. He has working class cred. Listen to him.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I've been to college and I'm a blue collar worker. Think about that. Think about that insight. This anecdotal insight.
Listen, if Republicans can govern by anecdote for 50 years, we could probably, take an occasional anecdote or two to heart. Listen, Tom LaVonne, great having you here as always. I am going to let you go, and I'm going to do the spiel on my way out the door. Tom LaVonne, everybody.
See ya.
All right, that was our good friend Tom LaVonne. Always good to see him. Going to get him back in here. Hopefully a lot sooner than 80 episodes from the last time. But for now, I want to thank Tom for his time tonight, and I want to thank you for watching. So last time, if you can, do want to encourage you to contribute to Who's Left with paid subscription. If you can, go on over to whosleft.us. You will find my entire archive there. I rely solely on the generosity of kind patrons like yourself to make this information available for free to everybody. So in addition to the website, you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at whosleft.us, and on Facebook, X, TikTok, Mastodon, and YouTube at Who's Left. You can DM me on any of those sites with feedback, tips, ideas, or concerns, or you can email me at scott@whosleft.us. And while you got the old email machine out, go ahead and forward the show to a friend and have them pass it on too. Let's keep building this project and a truly democratic state, one conversation at a time. Until the next one, this has been the Who's Left Podcast. I'm Scott Aaron Rogers. Love each other, Indiana.